But it's the experience, right? You know, you go to Starbucks, it's so quick and easy to put your name on there. Well, hopefully they spell your name right. A lot of times they don't spell your name right, but it's this experience, right?
Yeah. Do you have a Starbucks name?
No, 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 I don't. No.
Well, but your name isn't
Yeah,
so
no,
complicated
yeah,
that,
it'd be different. It's complicated. Yeah.
yeah. I respond to Chloe at
Mm.
Starbucks. Actually,
Mm.
most people get my name confused with Chloe.
It's-
They like somehow get like what is that scenario where you dyslexia?
yeah, dyslexia. Yeah. I mean, your
with
name's
my name.
pretty. I mean, unless I don't get like Cleo's pretty. I don't know.
I would think so, but I do respond to Chloe.
Okay, good to
Because
know.
people
Good to know.
intertwine the O and the E for some reason.
Yeah. So Fusion Fashion Tech Society, is this like a nonprofit, for profit?
It's a nonprofit.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's here in Seattle, or?
No, it's actually based out of New York.
Okay.
Yeah, and the inaugural event was actually about a year ago, and that launched in New York during New York Climate Week.
And what's your role with them again?
It's just another group. It's an organization where we literally talk about
Okay.
sustainability and fashion and everything that evolves.
And then your company's partnering with something called Evergreen Goodwill of Northwest Washington.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that partnership?
Yeah, so Goodwill, I think everyone's familiar with Goodwill, but Evergreen Goodwill is, I guess, their kind of regional location, and Reduce partners with their jewelry. So we take on the jewelry that they're not able to sell, and we process it through the circular economy model that Reduce has.
So the name of your company is Reduce, but it's spelled kind of different, right? Can you explain that part, like how
Yeah.
the name, why you name it Reduce, and why is the naming, the spelling is kind of different?
It's a very good question. So Reduce is spelled Redyous, and it was actually named by my daughter, who is 7 years old. But when I started the company, she was about 6. And Reduce is really like the phonetic spelling of the word reduce. And how we came about that is that we were brainstorming on the kitchen table, me and my children, on like, mommy's building this company, what should we name it? And we were throwing out sustainability words, reduce, reuse, recycle. And my daughter said, well, how about reduce? And she spelled it on this whiteboard that she had. And then I looked it up online, and the URL was available. It wasn't trademarked.
People don't realize how important how hard that is, right? That is so hard.
My
Renaming a
God.
company, that is so hard nowadays.
It's so hard to name the company if you don't want to spend $1 jillion.
Because someone might have your URL and they want $10 million for some craziness.
Exactly. I mean, there's a whole business around like just holding captive some of these URL availabilities, whether it's a .com or a .ai or whatever it is. Yeah, there's a cost, but this was free.
Yeah, that's the best one.
Yeah,
And so, how many kids do you have?
I have 3.
And what are their ages?
I've got a 14-year-old son, an 11-year-old son, and a 7-year-old daughter.
And when did you start your company?
So we launched about a year ago, but I've been working on it closer to 2 years.
So you talk about the process of how having kids, being a mother, like influence being entrepreneurship. How's that been either a blessing or I won't say a curse, but make it like kind of hard to do this?
Oh, it's quite difficult. I mean, I think being a mother is one of the hardest jobs I've ever done. Starting a company is one of the hardest jobs I've done. Putting that together, just chaos.
And talk about, I'm a firm believer like when someone's an entrepreneur, that makes them parenting that's way better because like your kids see you being a role model, they see you starting a company, they see you like the hardships, all that kind of stuff. I just think that makes a kid like better in life in the long run.
I hope so. I hope that is what they're seeing. Yeah.
So how do you deal with that for like you're having a bad day and like do you like share it with your kids like, hey, mommy had a bad day today, like cook your own dinner tonight, no, you know what I'm saying, like don't leave me alone, like how much do you share as far as like the highs and lows?
I think they see enough of the highs and the lows. So an example of the highs, I actually took my 14-year-old son with me to cons. I think I might have ruined it for him because his first question was like, is this how all conferences are, Mom? I was like, no, this is not how all conferences go. You're not going to see Cardi B in a conference in like middle Washington,
Yeah.
right? But that was a way for him to experience, one, kind of the industry I'm in, and two, seeing firsthand mommy's up there talking about what she's passionate about, what she's building, and how the audience is really resonating with. The lows, I mean, you know, today was one of them. I had a ton of things to do. Kids are at home. We don't have summer camps yet. Doesn't start until next week, so I'm trying to balance. Luckily, my brother-in-law was able to take the kids, but one of the challenges were, you know, my daughter wanted me to take her to the library, and I'm like, I don't have time to just take you to the library in the middle of the day. I'm building a company. So, you know, that's like one of the lows. It's like showing them how it's really hard to balance.
So how do you balance that? You know, your mother, your wife, I'm assuming you have some kind of social life, some friends you hang out with once in a while, all this stuff, right? And being a mother, like, how do you like balance all this stuff without, you know, feeling guilty and like beating yourself up too much?
I don't think guilt ever goes away. I think it just softens, and then it's really prioritizing, right? Like, I know how much time I have in the week or the day, and prioritizing what I need to get done for the company and the family.
And you also a board member of something called Refugee Artisans Initiative. Can you talk about that?
Yes. So Refugee Artisans Initiative is an amazing nonprofit here locally, and what we do is we support refugees and immigrant women through by providing them with financial independence, through giving them the skills of sewing, and by upcycling materials that would have otherwise gone into the landfills.
So go back to day one you started a company. What's something you know now that you wish you'd known then?
It's a hard
Everything.
I say this because prior to starting a company, I ran companies, right? So I can scale a company, and so I feel very comfortable going from 1 to 2, 2 to 3. It's the 0 to 1 that's very difficult. I mean, mathematically, it's impossible what 0 to 1 is.
Because no one wants to be the first customer, right? No one wants to give you the trust. And it doesn't really count if your mom buys it from you, right?
Yeah. You know, there's a lot of things you just don't know until you get started. But it really is just like, it's the starting is so much more involved than anticipated.
So what's like a sustainability hack you have at home so people can copy?
Sustainability hack. That you can recycle your jewelry. It's not really a hack, but it is a very novel idea that most people are just like not familiar with.
So why did you start your company? What was like the light bulb moment?
Oh, very good question. I say it's kind of threefold. First one is my whole career has been in fashion and accessories. I feel like there's so much waste that I've brought to market that I just didn't feel good about anymore. So I wanted to stop that. I wanted to be part of the solution rather than the problem. Secondly, I feel like though I've had the fortune to work in some really great companies, I just feel like I've, lined too many people, especially men's, in the C-suite's pockets for too long with my great ideas. And I felt like, why not me? Why not now? And then, which led me to, thirdly, I felt like it was time for me to bet on my own, like on myself.
Is there some stat that's showing like which country like wastes more jewelry, like America wastes more jewelry versus the Philippines versus China or anything like that?
Not really from a waste consumption, but it's not waste production, but more consumption. So, for example, India has 20% of the gold in jewelry. So they hold a lot of these precious materials, but from a fashion jewelry standpoint, the United States definitely consumes quite a bit of fashion jewelry, and then I would say Europe.
And then You were nominated for something called the Earthshot Prize Award. What is that?
Uh, Earthshot Prize Award. It is one of the most coveted like award or recognition within the sustainability world. I am not worthy to have gotten this nomination.
I mean, obviously, someone thought you was worthy.
I will tell you the story about that, but let me tell you what it is. So it is basically an award based out of England. It's under the org of the royal family, so they actually fund this. And what they do is they want to really support any initiatives, organizations, businesses, people that really want to have solutions against climate change. And they have different categories like waste management, water diversion, all of those. And then there's 5 winners, and each winner gets about £1 million, sorry, since it's based out of London. And the support that you get within the global community is probably, I would say, more valuable than the actual money that you get. So that's what the Earthshot Prize Award is. But to be really honest about how I feel like I am not worthy or Reduce is not worthy, it's just because we're pretty early on.
Mm-hmm.
But I do understand the recognition that we're getting, and I guess just the vote of confidence that the organization or our nominators have. And it's also one of those things that you have to get formally nominated for. Like, you can't just apply for it. You have to have a nominator that nominates the organization.
Do you know who nominated you, or is that
Yes.
secret? Okay.
So here's the story. I was in Paris about 6 months ago, and one of a colleague of mine just basically was like, "Hey, I have tickets to the sustainability conference in Paris. Do you want to go?" And I'm like, "What am I going to do there? We don't even do the business there. It would literally be for fun, right?" So I told my husband, and I was like, "There's just no point of us going." But he goes, "Well, we have these hotel credits that we have to use up. So why don't we just go?" We go, fast forward, we get to this event. I meet this wonderful woman called Anne, and we talk about a full hour on what I'm doing. And then she goes, "Have you heard of the Earthshot Prize Awards?" And I'm like, "I'm in sustainability, and of course I have." And then she goes, "What if I told you that I am one of the formal nominators?" And I said, "Well, then I need to get to know you more and keep you in my contact list." And I said, "To be completely honest, the Earthshot Prize Award is actually on my vision board for Reduce for year 5. If we ever got to that stage, I would feel so validated